All right, so in this inbox, again, you can find two links here. So a task sheet, that's brand new task sheet for new SACE, and also a student results sheet. Now this results sheet, have you managed to download that? You might have to click on edit workbook. Please don't edit in there. Just click on download a copy afterwards. It doesn't contain any formula because I wanted you to work it out, because that's your job to show your calculation in your report as well. Yeah. So I have only given you what I have calculated using Excel. Okay. So use this as solution to clarify certain things, like what I consider to be outlier, and also 2 or 3 closest value that I used in calculation. I'll just explain that. Now please do let me know the amount of mass of sodium hydroxide used were wrong, or the vinegar amount as well. So yeah, that should be all good. And from there I could calculate the number of moles and the concentration of sodium hydroxide solution. I'm not really following any scientific notation here, but yeah, hopefully you get the same number once you calculate it. Now I have then picked 2 or 3 closest values, so what I consider to be almost like concordant values. Okay, so for Oscar we've got 3 there, but Alicia, I think this was too off for the first the rough data anyway, so I excluded that. So I only used the other 2. Did you have third one? Yeah. Okay, so I need to probably get that one so we can do the calculation. And sorry? You got my third one wrong. Mine was like 19.15. All right, okay. So I'll update that, and maybe I'll ask you to re-download it. But that's gonna be the gist of it. That's how I calculate it and paste into here. Okay. So that's why you see 2 different average value, average titer value. So average titer value with outlier inclusive is that. For Oscar it was the same because I didn't have the third value there. This red one is the range. Theoretically, everyone should have had 3 concordant values, all within 0.05 range. So if your values were within 0.10, because you can have middle value and 0.05 to plus and minus, that's considered to be, I guess, within a pretty good range. But the first and the third value were away from each other, and the difference was more than 0.05. They're not really concordant as well. Okay. So if this range was less than 0.05, you got very precise result. Okay, meaning you didn't have much of random error. Okay, if you're seeing number, well, everyone is seeing a number that is bigger than 0.05, so you can comment on the precision and what random error may have caused it. Okay. Moving on to all these numbers, and here I think I got the right values for vinegar, so 26 something. Gabby had to redo the vinegar solution, so she used 21, but shouldn't make any difference in terms of calculation. From that, so yeah, excluding a few values that I missed out, a few titers that I missed out, I managed to calculate this percent weight per weight or volume per weight percent concentration. So that's in percentage here. So 4.51, 4. All of them seem to be within like 4%, but there are a few that's high or low. So 6.51 and 3.82. Yeah. Whether that's going to be considered as outlier, that can be calculated if you look at the stats here. Now, I did the standard deviation calculation here. Yeah. So average with outlier was 4.81, which is the average of all these. Yeah. Hope you're following. And if I did a standard deviation of it, 0.76 plus minus 2, this 4.81 is the accepted range of values. Okay. So standard deviation top is 5.57% and bottom is 4.05. So anything that's outside of this range is considered to be outlier. Okay. So 5.57, for this case Cameron, you got 6.51, so that's outside of that. And anything that's below 4.05, so Gabby's value here, is outlier compared to the class's average. Okay. Now that's where you can talk about the accuracy of your result. Okay. So Cameron, you have to talk about why your accuracy was off. Okay. Now accuracy is to do with systematic error. So you may have had an error within the equipment. Your maybe volumetric flask had something other than water, even though you washed it with, water first and did all that. You may have had some error within making two solutions. You need to come up with something that you can see from your results. Okay? Don't guess. Try to work with the result. If you can come up with something that you observed that may have caused the issue, that's how you can address it. Same for everyone. Okay? If your value was very close to top or bottom of standard deviation, not close to 4.67, which is the true accurate value that we are all aiming for. Okay. So 4.6, who is the closest, I wonder? This one. So Alicia got 4.77. I wonder who's the closest. Yeah, anyway, if you're close, but if it's still off, what can you say about your accuracy? Okay, what do you think could be done? And when you evaluate your values that you found, yeah, you need to refer to your result. Yeah, always work with your result. Let's move on to task sheet. Okay. So the one that I gave you before the prac, method is the same, but performance standard that was attached to, and also the things that I wanted you to include in the report was a bit different. Okay, because until last year there was no word limit as well. Okay, so it's a bit different now. What you're marked against is now these 5 new assessment design criteria. So first one was about obtaining, recording, and representing data using appropriate conventions and formats. Now, obtaining and recording data, that was half done yesterday. Okay, and I can see that from your results, so I will use result a bit. But majority of this IA2 grade would come also from how you would show it in results. Yeah, so you can still get pretty good grades if you do that properly. IA3, analysis and interpretation of data, and other evidence to formulate and justify conclusions. What was your aim again? Oh, it's written on there later, but what was your aim again? Yeah, to determine the concentration of ethanoic acid in vinegar sample and to compare the quality of the vinegar used to the average that's usually given, so 4 to 6%. Okay, so comparing what you got to what's said to be the average percentage, what can we say about the quality of vinegar? So that need to be justified in your discussion and in conclusion. Okay, so you need to address that. Yeah, it was one of the cheapest thing that we bought. Okay, so yeah, you can sort of guess that too, but justify it in your discussion. IAE4, evaluation of procedures and their effect on data. Make sure when you do evaluation of what you've done, yeah, you reflect that to the data that you got, okay? If you're suggesting improvements, make sure you talk about the results. How would the change that you might do would affect the data, okay? So yeah, you can do both, evaluation procedure and improvements. How would it affect data? Make sure you talk about, how it will affect that. KA2 next, development and application of chemical concepts in new and familiar concepts. So if you can justify your answer saying that this was a crappy vinegar compared to the value that we got, or the average cooking vinegar, you're already applying your chemical concepts to a context, okay? Maybe new to you, maybe unfamiliar to you, but you're already saying that, okay? If you look at the performance standard, it breaks down things a bit more for you. And finally, KA4, communication of knowledge and understanding of chemical concepts and information using appropriate terms, conventions, and representations. So how well you do the presentation. It's a communication stuff, okay? If you're using graphs, charts, equations, and units properly, you are doing the communication well, all right? Units are also part of the convention that we use, okay? If you're doing significant figures every time, again, your communication would go up, right? Use any diagrams or equations that's related effectively, okay? Just going down to after here, so practical report part. So on page 4, you can find this practical report part. The things that changed compared to last year is that some part have got asterisks, okay? If you read things at the bottom here that says these 5 asterisked sections, they are not part of the word count, right? So you need to count what's in the introduction, what's in the discussion, and what's in conclusion, okay? Now, if you think you can make use of appendix, please do so, but use it effectively. If you just say, refer to appendix 1, diagram 1, that might not be a good communication, okay? So breakdown of introduction, relevant chemistry concepts. You can copy a bit of the context that's given in the task sheet. Aim need to be part of introduction. I would suggest you to use these as subheadings though, okay? Apparently now, equipment and materials is part of introduction, but not counted towards the word count. Method, rewrite it in the way that you did the prac. So past tense, passive form, okay? And safety precaution. So identification and management of safety and or ethical risks. So how did you measure, what did you use to measure sodium hydroxide pellets? That was one of the most dangerous stuff that you used. Discussion. Now you can show your understanding, so showcase your understanding of chemistry throughout this part. Analysis of data, it's gonna be your first subheading, and another subheading under discussion will be evaluation of procedure. Okay, in the analysis, look at the result, state what you see and what it means. Analyze your errors, so random and systematic separately, or you can do them together if you want to, if you can make it logical. Yeah. Evaluation of procedure, when you identify something was wrong, you can already suggest possible improvements. So you can organize your evaluation of procedure in 2 ways. Okay, identify what was done and what was done right or wrongly, and improvements. do the setup, do the same sort of setting for second point and third point. You can have that, a combination of evaluation, suggestion, evaluation, suggestion. That's one way of doing it. To me, it's more logical, but some people prefer to do all the evaluation procedure first, looking at all the steps in chronological order, then do improvements. Okay. See which one fits you better. Okay, you can do either way. Conclusion, that's where the justification needs to occur. Again, try to address the aim here. Okay, when you do design prac, that will be your hypothesis that you are addressing. But in this case, look at the aim again. See if you can address that. And again, appendix if necessary. 1500 words is not much at all when you look at this much of data, especially in discussion. Okay, so try to make it as concise as possible. Okay, try not to waffle. Try to focus on the most important piece of data that would piece of information that would have affected your data. Okay. Any questions so far? Alrighty. Now, due date for the draft, I think I put it as, February 5th. Is it? Hang on. Available from, sorry, this one, due date, 7th of March, so 1 week from now. Okay. My suggestion is to focus on your discussion first. Yeah, method, you can probably do it even after you got my comments on the discussion. Of course, if you do as much as possible, and if you make your report as close as possible to your final copy, then I can do more comments. Yeah, I can probably go deeper. But the discussion is where a majority of the marks come from. So yeah, spend a lot of time in that. Okay. Also, result section is not part of the word count. Yeah. So if you want to state something, state the findings, it's better to do that in the results so that you don't have to use the word counts in discussion. Yeah. So when you're writing discussion, you can just mention that this was found. See table 1.0 or something. Yeah. In that way, you can save a lot of word counts from the discussion part. All right. So try to use as much as many words as possible in the result section, so you can refer and don't have to use as much a word count in discussion. Okay. That's about it for this task, and you will have a week after I finish marking everyone's draft to make your final copy submitted. Okay. I'll try to do that as soon as possible once I get them. All right.